and welcome to the subreddit series, where I dive into questions and help people answer some things that they are struggling with in life. Now, typically what I do is I aim for particular questions that have been upvoted quite a bit. That way I feel this hits the masses for all those people that may have the similar question. With that being said, remember to hit the like button before we get started. Kind of amps me up a little bit more. And also remember to subscribe. And also, if you guys are interested in starting new 2021, if you guys want to join me in a virtual race, I have that link down in the description below. No, I am not affiliated with this group, but I wanted to get closer with you, with a community, and that way we can do something together. And also in these virtual races, for every essentially percentage that you complete of the race, they will also plant a tree. So it is also for a good cause. Again, I am not affiliated with this group, but I felt it would help us grow this community and help us together become a tighter knit group and help ignite change, especially in 2021, because we want to bring more change into our lives. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I already have the particular question pulled up, so we don't have to go hunting on the internet or on subreddits. But nonetheless, this particular question came up. I'm not going to read this verbatim, but one thing I do want to say is I'm going to be stopping for every paragraph. I haven't read this whole thing all the way through, so I want to stop for every paragraph and try to answer as I go, so that way I do not miss anything. So let's go ahead and dive into this particular question. The question is how do I truly begin to stop caring about what other people think? And after the first one, that first paragraph says, just read along. I'm not going to read this verbatim again. So the question is how to stop caring what other people think. I've always answered, provided as nobody is thinking about you or cares anyway about how many times you are thinking about other people. None, right? I always think about other people to the point to where I am crippled in my self-esteem and my day-to-day. So to first answer that question, essentially saying that, that people tell him to not worry about other people, but yet he feels, well, I think about other people, so other people must still think about other people. This brings up a good point. Something I do talk about all the time is that you want to put self first. Now, this is something I also talk about a lot too, is the fact that we are more willing to give the shirts off our back as opposed to giving that same love and care to ourselves. With that being said, self first is extremely important because of the fact that if you neglect yourself, you'll wake up one day with either having health problems or, again, having self-esteem problems. You'll have all these other different issues because of the fact that you've been neglecting yourself up to this point. So with him saying that he still, he thinks that other people think about him because he thinks about other people, which majority of the time he probably does think about other people. Yeah, you still think about other people, but majority of the time you're thinking about what you're doing. Ultimately, what you need to understand is that I think right here you're more worried about what if people are judging you. And that's ultimately what it is. So whatever actions that you're taking, whatever lifestyle that you're living, ultimately you think people are judging you for doing that. Maybe your parents don't want you to do something specific, right? This goes into beliefs and all these different things and how society has essentially conditioned us. With that being said, we have to understand that this is a real thing, that we've been conditioned to certain beliefs that we have. And so when you're talking about how to stop caring about what other people think, you need to be concentrating on yourself and your purpose, right? If you're not concentrating on yourself and your purpose, then yes, you're going to have low self-esteem, right? Because you don't understand what your value is. That's ultimately what the issue is. And just in that first paragraph, that's what I gather, is that you don't know what your value is. And when you don't know what your value is, your self-esteem gets really low. So just for that particular piece, you need to look for your purpose. And that means go out, experience things, read books, get perspective, do different things you wouldn't typically do, build your confidence back up. And building your confidence back up is doing something for yourself every single day. And I talk about objectives every single day. You should have an objective that aligns with your purpose. Do that every single day. And you realize that by doing this, realizing you have control over that one objective every day builds your confidence, right? You get that compounding effect to where your confidence builds up to a point to where your self-esteem rises, right? And in doing this, you need to, again, it's good advice. You shouldn't worry about what other people are doing, because people aren't thinking about you. They may think about you briefly, but I mean, you have to realize that a lot of things that we are thinking, especially when you have low self-esteem, you're essentially just mirroring what's in your own head is what it is. And you think other people are thinking the same thing when in fact they are not. So again, I don't want to get too long-winded just off that first paragraph, but let's go ahead and knock out the second one. Let's see, I'm 10 still about hometown, what they're doing. Think about the side jobs I was doing in college. I didn't work hard at all and partied. Also hates me. I think about the boss and the think of me and bazillion times I have truly messed up or did a bad thing, and the people who it affected and how they might randomly remember me and think about me with disgust. And so this whole second paragraph is about diving into your past, and something I talk about all the time, that you shouldn't be hung up on your past. It doesn't exist anymore. People don't care. How many times, now just reading back over that second paragraph, how many times do you remember somebody in your past that did something specific, right? People may just remember you, okay, maybe you messed up a couple of times. Nobody cares, right? They have their own lives to live. You have to remember, people do think about themselves all the time, right? But, and this is the thing you need to remember here, although we do think about ourselves all the time, again, we don't always take ourselves as best interest. This is why I go back to self first and make sure your objectives are handled. Well, a lot of times we'll think about ourselves, but we won't act for ourselves. And so in saying that, you're getting hung up again on the past. You have to remember, this is not who you are. We have to remember that we are in constant creation. You need to bring yourself focus back into the present day and realize that you should be putting pen to paper and recreating your history. You're too hung up on the past. And when you hang up in the past or get hung up on the future, then you're not writing your story. You're letting your past and your future projections of, well, when I get here, things are just going to get better. You're letting this dictate your life. And in doing this, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to spin around in circles and circles and circles until you realize that in the now is being created. Now is only factual time that exists. Now is what matters. Rewrite your history. If it is that bad, rewrite it today by doing things today that you wouldn't typically do, right? I talk about the past. The past is just there to guide us to where we are today. If you want to continue down the path that you've already been on in the past, which our brain likes to do is project the future, that's the same path you're going on until you steer your ship the opposite way. You have to remember, you are in constant creation. Don't hold on to your past, because that's not who you are anymore. But I don't want to get too winded on that second one either. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Attempting to find a way to deal with a lot of pain, but I don't think I'm a bad person. I think I'm a good friend, my friend, hard worker now and whatnot. But then someone tells me, oh, don't worry about what others think. No one's thinking about you at all. I just can't believe it. Because I truly am thinking about the opinions of everyone else in my past, and all the time I remember times where I was hurt by others, and or I'm embarrassed to say, I imagine how everybody who's ever met me thinks about me and hates my guts literally every hour of every day. Again, it seems like right there you kind of started off. It seems there in the third paragraph you started off to where you essentially, I guess you were taking efforts now. You realize that now you can change that. And so you are starting to take efforts now to fix that, which is fantastic. But again, you still fall back to the past. You keep going back to the past. Forget the past. The past doesn't exist. It is non-existent just now. you are now. Remember, you said, I think you said somewhere, I thought I read that you're 10 years out of high school. So with that being said, I mean, you've been out of high school for a while, but if you project back into high school, right, maybe you were a jock back in high school, you were a jock today, maybe you don't even work out today. So how could you be considered a jock today, right? You have to think about that as in your past. That was your past. That's not who you are now, right? A lot of times we keep holding on to things in the past and worrying about what other people think, but I can tell you that people really don't care. How often they may once in a while look back, oh, I remember that guy, no big deal. But guess what? If you are in the now and correcting the now, like it seems like you are, but you're still kind of falling back towards the past, and they see you nowadays, what if you go back to your 10-year reunion, which maybe that's what it is, because you are 10 years out from high school, and looking at this and saying, hey, this is me now, right? And then people get a different opinion of you. They see you've changed. People realize that you've changed. Unless you are continuously changing yourself day to day, you are only who you are in the current moments, right? What you're doing now is what matters. All the compounded efforts that you've had up to this point is who you are now. So you have to realize that. So being said, you can recreate that by creating your own compound effect for the future. And then when you come into situations, 10-year reunion, whatever the case is, it'd be like, oh, I remember when he was a bad person, but wow, look at him now, right? So this is the effect you want to go with. You don't want to go with who you were back then, because this old story of yourself is just killing you. You need to let it go. It doesn't exist anymore. You need to kill that story off. You need to realize that you are writing the story right this moment. Continue to write it, and eventually you'll dilute the past. The past will be something you can actually look back and like, look at the track record I have now. It made up for those couple of bad times that I had, or the college, especially during the college times. You're still young. You got plenty more life ahead. You can dilute the past. You can make your past a marvelous thing. Stop holding on to the past. So going into the last paragraph, is anyone else received obstructive thoughts? As I thought I'd say, yeah, I am in therapy, but my therapist gives me the same advice, such as no one is thinking about you. I can't seem to accept as truth or believe I am the only one. Well, she got a point. He or she's got a point. Whoever your therapist is, you have to kill the old story. You have to let it go. You have to realize that the moment, now is the moment. Now you are in a moment of creation. You have to understand that. You continue to hold on to the past. I know this is a real struggle for a lot of people, but you have to realize that the past doesn't exist right now, right? You're allowing your past to continue to push you to the same path that you've been on to this point. You have to realize that you're currently writing right now. You're writing your story right now, but considering the past keeps pulling up, you're still writing the same story, and it's not going to change. And it's going to, projecting into the future, you are going to be on the same route. It's not until you defer those thoughts, right? Whenever that past thought comes up, this is something I talk about, being an observer of your thoughts. When that thought comes up of the past and how bad of a person you are, let it go. Acknowledge it. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's great. Let it go. This is why I do stillness sessions. This is why I do breathing techniques, because it pulls you into the now. It makes you an observer of your thoughts, which is important for self-awareness. And again, this is something why you have to be aware that this is a skill you have to develop, right? It's a skill I've had to develop. When you become an observer of your thoughts, you aren't those emotions anymore. You aren't that person anymore. You realize that it is just a thought. I am 300 feet away from that thought and that idea. I have control over this, right? These thoughts and ideas, put them in a glass jar. Visualize a glass jar with your thought and idea, and be an observer, right? You're observing these thoughts and these ideas that are coming through. Throw it away. It's done. Right now, what's the next thing, right? What's the next thought or idea? Next jar come along, what is it? Is it negative? Throw it away. Is it positive? Okay. Is that pretty interesting? I'll check that one out. Let's keep that one. Put it down, right? The thing is you need to be an observer of your thoughts and ideas and emotions on top of that. These emotions aren't who you are. These emotions are separate from you. This is what you need to understand. As your emotions, you need to be an observer of all these things. This is what self-awareness is being an observer of everything, not only outside of your body in the physical environment, but internally. You need to step away from your thoughts, your ideas, because you also have that voice in your head too that likes to talk. Be an observer of that voice. You are not that voice. You're not those thoughts. You're not those ideas. Step away from everything. Then you can be objective. Okay, well, is this something I really agree with? No, it's not. It's negative. I don't care. Bam. Just get rid of it. That's what you have to do. You really want to be able to control your past. You really want to be able to, in the now, you need to put forth the effort, do breathing techniques, do stillness sessions, be an observer, be in command of who you are. Take ultimate control of who you are by being the observer. Then you have ultimate judgment on the thoughts and ideas that are going on internally and remove them. Look for those glass jars, kick them out of the way if they don't make sense to you anymore. Don't allow that thought and idea to come uncapped and then just spread all over, right? Keep it capped and toss it out. Look for the next thought. Just say, okay, I see you. Okay, see you later. That's all you have to do. And that's what I suggest for everybody to do. If you find that this is you, that you feel like you're still caring about what other people think, people may think about you, but you can always change that. If you're an observer of your thoughts, you can rewrite your story, dilute your past, make it better. And when you realize this, life becomes so much more simpler. You aren't those emotions. You aren't the past. You aren't that person who's going to be in the future. Yes, it's good to have navigation to the future, but you have to realize that you're still in the now. You have to focus on your daily task, right? You have purpose, you have destination, you have the tasks that align with that purpose and that destination. Just execute on the task. Take it day by day. Don't make it so complex. It doesn't need to be so complex. The simpler you keep things, all great things are developed from simplicity. All you have to be is an observer of your thoughts, ideas, emotions, an observer of your environment. Become the observer, become the ruler of your life. So I hope that helps you guys. Remember, if you do like this video, to hit the like button on the way out. Till next time, I will see you guys later.